watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good morning to you and welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer and thanks for joining us on this Thursday morning live on Fox Local and on YouTube. I want to let you know a little bit of what we have ahead of us here coming up on the show today. In just a little bit, we are going to hear from Attorney General James Uthmeyer and Brevard County Sheriff Wayne Ivey, who were speaking in Titusville just a little bit ago, talking about these anti-doxing efforts for immigration officers participating in raids and roundups and other events that we have been seeing in growing number across the state. We are also expecting to hear at a news conference here shortly from 3 immigrants in Osceola County who say they were unjustly detained. They are speaking after being released, having previously been taken to a deportation center in Texas. A law firm here helped secure their release. We're going to hear from them coming up in just a little bit. But today is Thursday, June 12th, 2025, and that means it is the 9th anniversary of the Pulse Nightclub shooting. 49 people killed, 53 others injured in that shooting at the Pulse Nightclub in Orlando 9 years ago. We know Pulse site visits are continuing this morning ahead of a remembrance ceremony later this afternoon. Joining us live now from the Pulse Nightclub site is Fox 35's David Martin, who has been out there for much of this week. And David, it looks like one of those groups of survivors and family members is there now.
Good morning, Garrett. That's exactly right. This is day 2 of a rather significant remembrance of the Pulse Nightclub massacre. And I'll step aside for a moment so you can see what's going on behind me. This is a bus that just arrived with presumably some survivors and or family members of the victims of that nightclub massacre 9 years ago this morning. What you're looking at here is a protection barrier made with panels and umbrellas, and what you have is a tunnel, so to speak, that gives you entry, that gives these folks entry into the club. They'll be escorted by the FBI, and they'll get about 30 minutes or so inside. No cameras are allowed, and they'll be able to walk around and ask the FBI questions about what transpired that night. And if they specifically want to know where their loved ones perished that morning, then they can get access to that information as well, down to the very square foot where a loved one was killed. It could have been the bathroom, at the bar, on the dance floor, outside, in a corner. All of those details have been documented, and now if these registered visitors want to know that information, they certainly can. I will tell you, it's interesting because some of the folks get here, we're told, and they think they want to go in, but then they have second thoughts about going in because it's some kind of emotion overwhelms them, something happens, and they don't want to go in there. And that's, everybody has a different healing process. And when they're done with the tour, if they go through, they are welcomed over to what I'll call Media Row, where we have several cameras from local news agencies willing and able to talk with them about their experience walking through Pulse. Yesterday, when they started these tours at 3 in the afternoon, they did have one visitor who talked with the media. Her name is Christine Lineman, and she's the mother of one of the 49 victims, Christopher. Christopher was 32 years old at the club, just celebrated his 32nd birthday. He was shot 9 times and died on the dance floor. So I want you to take a listen to what is a painful testimony, but strong nonetheless, of Christine, his mother. Take a listen.
Well, I wanted to just see the venue. I've never been in there. And I wanted to see what my son saw the last time he was alive. Because the last time I saw him, he was just a happy kid. I just gave him it was his birthday, June 1st, I gave him a Darth Vader cake. Because he turned 2. Well, he turned 32, but that's what you give them when they turn 32, because they're a Star Wars fan. And it had a little Darth Vader sound when you put the little toy on, and he had that on his computer. I had Zachary Blair with me, who described where everything was, because right now it's pretty sterile and everything's been changed, so it's a bigger space than what it would have been. I was trying to picture where my son was, because my son was shot in 2 different segments. He got shot 4 times the back of his pants and his knees, and then 5 times in his chest and stomach area, and yet he died right there on the dance floor. And Juan was able to make it out of the club and make it to the hospital where he died. So I was trying to picture, well, where was Christopher, and why did Christopher end up dying right there on the dance floor and couldn't make it out? And where was he? What was he seeing? Why was he not able to see like an exit door or a window or something? And Zachary was able to explain to me like what doors were blocked, what windows were blocked, how the venue was set up so that it would have been very difficult, and that's why over 20 people died right there on the dance floor. It's not for closure, it's for, like I say, it's pragmatic for me, because I needed to see the space, I needed to see how big it was. I did want to see the bathrooms where other people had died as well, you know, because I'm friends with Tierra Parker, and her cousin Akira Mary died in one of the bathrooms, and, you know, I wanted to see where Eddie Justice died. And some of the other kids, I wanted to see where they died. So, you know, and they waited for over 3 hours for the police to come and rescue them. And so, I mean, it's a tragedy all the way around. So, yes, I wanted to see it. It's not closure. It's realistic. It's something that I've never been here, never been through there. They are planning on demolishing it. I'm never going to be given the opportunity again. I would have regretted it if I didn't go through it. And I needed to see where my son took his last breath. It's as simple as that. And as painful as it is, it's nowhere near as painful as what my son experienced that night. How could walking through even compare to what he went through?
Once again, that was Christine Lineman, the mother of 32-year-old Christopher, who was shot and killed on the dance floor 9 years ago. He would have been 41 today, and I bet still a Star Wars fan. You're looking at right now some people who have shown up to the memorial site here with flowers. That's been happening off and on all morning long. It's a solemn environment right now as we once again witness a busload of more survivors and family members of the victims go in and out of the club. You know, the Pulse building itself has been vacant for years. It's musty, it's dark. They've removed all the dance floor, the furniture. There's no bar there anymore. It's been cleaned up. The one thing you will see, I'm told, though, is bullet holes everywhere, and holes in some of the walls where some of the folks try to escape, some successful, others not. So you can see why, Garrett, that this might be a step in the healing process for some, and for others too much. It would open a wound, perhaps, that they've worked hard to scab over a bit. But someone who lives with this pain every year on this date is a gentleman who saw it firsthand, and really firsthand that night. The lead trauma surgeon at Orlando Health. It was Dr. Chadwick Smith. He took in that first wave of dozens of victims in the shooting, and we had him on our show Good Day Orlando earlier this morning, and I had asked him a bit about when you get that call, that trauma call, not knowing how many people were about to come into your ER. Was there any panic that ensued? Take a listen to his answer.
I walked around, and for a minute there, I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? And then I was just like, you know what? I'm here. I got a job to do. Just buckle down and do it. So,
what do you remember vividly about that morning?
I think one of my most vivid memories is just seeing the team frightened and but ready to take care of whatever came through the door, and that's what really what stands out is the job that the team did in such a tragic situation.
And he is still one of the lead trauma surgeons at Orlando Health, Dr. Chadwick Smith. Okay, well, on this day, Garrett, we can tell you that this scene behind me will happen all day long, as well as tomorrow and Saturday. The city has 250 registered visitors to come see the building because it's now or never, right? The building's going to get demolished this year to make way for a permanent memorial construction project in 2026. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Fox 35's David Martin, we appreciate you joining us. Certainly a lot of emotions and a very somber scene out there at the Pulse Nightclub site this morning. We appreciate you joining us, and we are going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday morning, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. We've heard from a number of folks out of that site of the Pulse Nightclub shooting today, including Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings, who spoke with reporters this morning. At the time of the shooting, Demings was Orange County Sheriff. He talked today about the initial response to the shooting and what being at the Pulse site means to him.
Yeah, we honor the 49 Angels today, and we're here to make certain that their lives and legacies live on. And with this memorial site, to answer your question, have I been in the crisis site? Yes. Obviously, at the time, back on June the 12th of 2016, I was the Orange County Sheriff at the time, and it was an active crime scene that we participated in. And then afterwards, with the FBI and some of the other investigations that were underway, I had the opportunity to go into the crisis site at that time.
What do you, I mean, with the families going in there, what do you think they're going to experience?
It's a somber occasion. It will be a sad occasion for the families. I can recall when I went in, it was after the crisis site had been stabilized. It was an eerie feeling that you had inside because it's rare that you have a crisis site where that many victims have suffered, and so there were certain things that we knew. I had the opportunity to have a bird's eye view of some of the things that were going on real time because of some of the law enforcement technology that we were using at the time. And so I know that this is going to be a tough day for those families to be able to go in, because every time there's a remembrance, it takes all of them back to that tragic day when they learned about the fate of their loved one, and that would be tough on anyone. And so with this being the actual site where that happened, for many of them it will be surreal. In some cases it may be overwhelming for them.
Mayor, when you reflect on 9 years and each time an anniversary passes, what goes through your mind? What does it bring you back to? What do you remember about when you first got the call early that morning?
I did get the phone call probably around 2:15 a.m. I had just gotten to bed, and so based upon the lieutenant that was briefing me from the Orange County Sheriff's Office, I knew that it was going to be a long-term event. I knew that it was going to be a major, significant event for our community. And so I rolled out of my bed and got dressed as quickly as I could, and I got here probably somewhere around 2:40 in the morning. And at that time, it was certainly a very active crisis site. We were working in tandem with the Orlando Police Department and various other law enforcement agencies, and even the fire department, who were doing rescues and transporting live victims at that time. And it was a long day, very long day for everyone. A lot had to get done in that day, dealing with the reunification of the family members with those who survived, and then just working through making certain that we gave them as much information as we possibly could. It was a team effort. Obviously, initially the Orlando Police Department was the lead agency. Ultimately, it was determined to be a terror attack, and the FBI, the Department of Justice, ultimately took over the incident. But it was great collaboration of multiple agencies coming together for one accord. A lot was going on. If you remember that weekend here in Orlando, the tragic death of Christine Grimmett, who died tragically while here. And then we had the Pulse incident, and then we had the incident with the young child at Disney. So we were all very, very stretched. A number of dignitaries came into our area, from governors to federal elected officials to the president to the attorney general to other heads, senior officials within the federal government. And so that took a lot of coordination as all of those visits were going on, and then just kind of dealing again with these families.
Mayor, can there be healing and forgiveness for the community and for the families in time?
I pray that there's healing for the families. Only the families can make that determination. We tried to do the best that we can do, and as the Orange County mayor at this time, one of the reasons why I strongly supported the county supporting the funding of this memorial site to make it something that was decent for these families to be able to come to, as well as the other survivors in our community. We wanted to support this effort, and so I'm standing here today. I'm proud to say that Orange County is supporting the city of Orlando in making this a permanent memorial site. Also proud of the fact that the way our community came together during that tragedy and have really continued to be together even to today with what is happening. So thank you to all of the media for your coverage, I think fair coverage over the period of time that I've seen.
Mayor, do you think the families have gotten a sufficient accountability as how law enforcement handled this? And do you think the FBI should release the files?
I do think that the families have received sufficient information about the facts and what really happened in this case. Certainly from a law enforcement perspective, we tried to do our due diligence to make sure that the families got all the information that they needed. Over the years, I participated in numerous conversations with families about what we knew to have happened. Are there some details that maybe some family members feel like they have not received? I don't know. I haven't heard about that. I've had one-on-one meetings with many of them over the years.
Guys, one more question because we've got a 9 o'clock live hit. Anyone else?
Well, when this is torn down, the memorial is built. What do you hope that brings to the city and the county and to the victims' families?
What I will tell you is based upon what I have seen the city of Orlando present in terms of the plans for what this memorial site will be, it will be, I think, something extraordinary that will honor these 49 angels and the other survivors in a way that they deserve to be honored.
One last question. I'm sorry. You were the sheriff of Orange County when this happened. Fast forward, you're now the mayor of Orange County. So as a law enforcement officer previously and your whole connection to law enforcement, how can the families try to move forward? Can you share with them coping mechanisms to deal with what they're about to see? Is my question.
Well, how can the families move forward? Well, in some ways, they may never be able to move forward because they won't have the benefit of having their loved ones in some cases. In other cases, they may be able to move forward as they have continued living and they have other family members. But what we can do is be certain to make sure that we're sensitive to the emotional impact that this has had on those various families, and then to be responsive to them. And never forget, each year on the 12th of June, there is always an interest in what happened 9 years ago. But as we move forward, those families experience the fallout, the tragedy, every single day of their lives. And I think we should never forget. We should continually have some contact with those families over time to make sure that they're okay. So as a community, we've done well in terms of making sure that they have the mental health services and treatment that they deserve. We have tried to remain in contact. Our History Center here, the Orange County History Center, has made sure that there was an exhibit, a live exhibit there where we have documented the tragic history of what happened on that day and going forward. So I would encourage people to not just visit here, but also visit Orange County History Center. So together we can do what we can to take care of those who need to be taken care of.
Orange County Mayor Jerry Dimmings. We do expect to hear from Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer at around 12:30. Going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back. Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner joins me now. And Brooks, we finally have a little bit of good weather news here.
Yes, the latest drought monitor has come out. It comes out once a week on Thursdays, and it is now official that Orlando is no longer in a drought. But the drought does continue to the north and west in that orange coloration. That indicates some severe drought remaining for Marion and parts of Sumter counties. But the good news is that with today's rain forecast, that's where most of the rain should fall, on the I-75 corridor. And in fact, that'll be the case for tomorrow as well. Listen, on a long enough timeline, our drought will be but a memory. Often in the springtime, we're at the tail end of the rainy season, things get extremely dry and drought can be declared. But usually by late June, mid-July, the drought is wiped away from the regular rains of the rainy season, and it looks like this year will be no exception. Now, the nature of the rain today for Orlando will be that it's in 1 minute, it's out the next. These will be transient in nature. So it's not going to start raining and then rain all evening. It's probably actually going to start a little bit earlier today. We can see the first downpours developing about 1 to 3 o'clock, so inside of the next 2 to 3 hours. And then as the day progresses, the Atlantic sea breeze will push all of this stuff toward the west coast, toward the Tampa side of the state, where it will meet the Gulf sea breeze. And that's where we should see a blossoming of thunderstorms between 6 and 9 p.m. And that's where thunderstorms will form. They'll really rain hard at a rate of more than 2 inches per hour with some storms, and they could last for the better part of 2 to 3 hours before finally, after 9 o'clock, those storms start to dissipate. But you'll notice on the east coast, on the Atlantic coast, we'll have very little rain today. So it's really going to be a game of winners and losers, but it depends on your definition of winning. I mean, if you're going to the beach today, you probably don't want rain, but if you live on the beach and your lawn's a little bit dry, maybe you're kind of hoping for some showers. But it looks like at this point, here's a view of the beach. It's beautiful, and a lot of folks are there on vacation or enjoying a day off, maybe a 4-day weekend on this Thursday. By the way, if you're going to the beaches, we're going to see highs today about 85 to 87, a moderate risk for rip currents, 1 to 2 foot waves, and a water temperature of 80 degrees. All right, got to show you the big picture. We've got severe weather this morning and this afternoon in Texas and Louisiana. That's associated with a mid-level low pressure system. Meanwhile, that black dashed line across Florida and Georgia with high pressure in the Atlantic represents what's called an axis of high pressure. So if you picture like a roof line, like a long barn, and there's like a V-shaped roof, we're at the top of that roof. So it kind of keeps all the bad weather away. And in fact, as we head into the weekend, looking ahead to the future for Saturday, we're going to find ourselves even more at the very bottom of that roof ridge. So we're going to be under the strongest part of that high pressure nose. So we could still see a couple of passing downpours, but that upper level system, which is bringing severe weather in Texas and will likely bring severe weather to the deep south as we head into this weekend, should stay just to our north. So while we may have a few passing thunderstorms for Father's Day weekend, the severe stuff should remain along and north of I-10. We'll see. It's going to be a tough call, but we look for these weather subtleties when making a forecast. And then looking ahead to early next week, that ridge axis will sit up over South Florida, which means that our flow, instead of being a southeast flow off the Atlantic, will become a really hot flow off of the Gulf. And we'll have occasional passing downpours, but temperatures rebounding to the mid-90s. So it's going to be a really interesting forecast as far as those changes go. And overall, it's going to work out like this. We'll have about a 50 to 60% chance for rain today, lower chances on the coastline, and higher chances as you go farther west toward Tampa. Look for a 50-50 chance for this Father's Day weekend, but with that upper level high pressure system moving in and that ridge axis moving over us, our rain chances will generally be reduced to about 40% for each afternoon, and temperatures will generally warm up into the lower to middle 90s, representing slightly warmer than normal temperature setup. Now, at the Atlantic beaches, it's going to be a little bit different. Only a 30% chance for a passing downpour today, a 40% chance for tomorrow and for Saturday, and a 50-50 shot on Father's Day. And then from Monday through Wednesday of next week, rain chances will be isolated at best. So Garrett, we have a lot of interesting, subtle, but noticeable changes ahead. I think the main one for today to consider is that if we get any downpours, which we probably will around Orlando, the best chance is between 3 and 5 p.m. But the heaviest rain today, where we could see those totals approaching 4, 5, maybe even 6 inches of rain, happens closer to Tampa along the I-75 corridor in a few pockets.
And given some of these patterns that we've seen, I guess no surprise then that the drought is over here in Orlando.
Yes. It's amazing how it works. It's so cyclical in nature. By the end of the dry season, there's always at least some level of drought, some years drier than others. But by the time we get in the middle of the summer, the heart of the rainy season, just like that, it goes away. So all that talk of like, oh, this is the new normal and we're always going to be in drought, it's all just hogwash.
That's true. Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner, we appreciate you joining us.
You got it, Garrett. My pleasure as always.
And here's a look at downtown Orlando as we head to break here on Fox 35 News Plus. We'll be right back after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday morning, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. A law firm says it has secured the release of 3 Osceola County immigrants. They say they were unjustly detained and transferred by ICE to a deportation facility in Texas. They have now returned home here to Florida and have been reunited with their families. That news conference going on right now. I want to play for you a segment from just a few minutes ago where we heard from 2 attorneys representing these folks who talked about what they believe happened and what they believe needs to happen now.
We were hired to represent her on that criminal case, and we immediately got it dropped in Osceola County. Despite of that, an ICE detainer hold was put on her at the Osceola County Jail. She has no criminal record. She paid taxes. She had a valid driver's license, which she was able to obtain. Yet that wasn't enough for ICE. Not only was she held by ICE, immediately after we got the case dropped at Osceola County, she was swiftly transported, not to Miami, but to Texas, to face deportation proceedings. We weren't alerted. Families were kept in the dark. And that's just a good example of how the rhetoric or the narrative that we're hearing throughout the last 4 months or 5 or 6 months as to the majority of immigrants being deported having criminal records is just not true. I believe recent data has indicated that 4 out of every 5 undocumented immigrants being deported have no criminal record. Let that sit in, okay? We are also seeing a pattern of discrimination. As criminal defense attorneys, we have noticed how the application of what we call an invisible new law of driving while Latino, people of brown skin who have facial features as Latinos are being pulled over with the sole intent and purpose to see if they have a valid driver's license or not. get them arrested because they know that once they go into the county jail, they're going to get an ICE detainer hold. And what's sad is that many of these families and individuals do not have access to an attorney. We want to thank the good Lord that we were able to represent Jennifer Rodriguez. She is here with her family, her daughters, her son, her husband, and we were able to give the good fight. And David Martinez, to my left, played a huge role in that. He heads our immigration department as well as Josephine Arroyo. I'd like to close before turning it over to Attorney Josephine Arroyo, saying that a lot of families out there are losing hope. A lot of families are in fear. But I want them to know, as attorneys, that there's still hope. Despite of what may be seen in the media and the fear tactics used against the immigrant community, there is still a place for justice in this country. There is still a place where even in the darkest moments, even when the odds seem overwhelming, justice still has a place in this country. This country is not made weaker with the contributions of immigrants. It makes us stronger. I think it's very important to clarify the misunderstanding or misinformation that our beloved U.S. Constitution does not apply to immigrants. If we read the text of the U.S. Constitution, it is very clear. Nowhere does it say, when it comes to equal protection, nowhere does it say only citizens are protected. It says persons. And that's the beautiful thing about our founding fathers, who actually embraced immigration.
There is a dangerous, widespread misinformation campaign happening that the only individuals being detained by ICE or targeted with immigration holds are violent or undocumented. That is simply not true. Those who are here legally and following every step of the immigration process are being targeted as well. We are here to highlight recent examples of this that our firm has handled. These individuals, specifically Jennifer Rodriguez Jimenez, are legally present in the United States. Their criminal charges were criminal traffic tickets and/or misdemeanors, yet they were detained by ICE. In the past, ICE was not putting holds on these low-level offenses, nonviolent and traffic charges, and definitely not someone who had a pending legal immigration process. It was only for violent crimes and those who were undocumented. But now, because of the mass deportation agenda, presidential executive orders, and new Florida legislation, what we are experiencing today seems to be our new normal. These individuals were torn away from the families. These women are mothers who were flown across the country far away from their homes to a Texas detention center as if they were fugitives and held in detention for over 2 months. We do have an individual client who is a male who stayed in the Miami detention center and is in the process of getting released since bond was just granted a couple of days ago. These detention centers are overcrowded and plagued with persistent human rights violations, as Mr. Arroyo just stated, which creates severely traumatic environments for the detainees. Due to these environments, many detainees choose to abandon their legal claims and opt for self-deportation. They really are being pressured inside these detention centers to self-deport. They are being forced to choose between their rights and their well-being. This system is designed to break people down, but I want to applaud these individuals who stood strong and courageous, who fought to be reunited with their families, even when they were filled with fear. The only thing stronger than fear is hope. During the time they were detained, ICE failed to respond to multiple requests for release or intervention. In the past, ICE would have responded and would have the discretion to grant a bond, but now the only path to justice comes through the immigration courts, where immigration judges ultimately granted each one of our clients bond, something ICE itself refused to even consider. These victories, though important, should not have to rely solely on the discretion of a judge. It is unacceptable that individuals who are here legally pursuing their immigration processes are being treated this way. Our immigration enforcement system is punishing people simply for being accused, not convicted of a crime. We are not seeing them be afforded the principle of innocent until proven guilty. As the daughter of an immigrant mother from Nicaragua, immigrant rights are personal to me. My family's story is part of the American story. And like so many others, we have seen firsthand the sacrifices, the resilience, and the contributions immigrants make every single day in this country. This is why it is so important for immigrants and their families to remain vigilant, even with pending legal immigration case, even with the proper documents in hand. You are not automatically protected from detention if you come into contact with the criminal legal system. We stand here today to demand better, to call for transparency, accountability, and justice for all immigrants. Immigrants are not disposable. They are our neighbors, our workers, our families, and they deserve due process and dignity.
We'll be right back with more Fox 35 News Plus after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday morning. The Attorney General, James Othmeyer, was in Brevard County today with the Brevard County Sheriff speaking in Titusville. They held a news conference where they were also joined by state immigration enforcement officials to announce a new ICE liaison appointed here in the state of Florida. His name is Anthony Coker, and Florida has now become the first state to have an embedded ICE agent helping state officials when it comes to these immigration raids and these partnerships between local and state law enforcement and the feds with these immigration raids and other enforcement efforts. They also talked about anti-doxxing programs for ICE and law enforcement participating in illegal immigration crackdowns. Here's some of what the Attorney General had to say just a little bit ago in Titusville.
Two big announcements. One, we're excited to be the first state to announce our own ICE agent embed in the state. Agent Coker will be housed here with our leadership team in Florida as we work to support the Trump administration's efforts to combat illegal immigration. We have a great collaborative operation with the feds, with ICE, and we're very, very proud to support them. So thank you for being here with us today. Number two, we're going to talk about a new program that we're executing to protect ICE agents. Around the country, especially in California, you're seeing a new effort where leftist groups are attacking ICE agents by revealing their personal identifying information, including family information. This is called doxing, if you're not yet aware. Releasing this public information for the purposes of intimidating, threatening, and distracting them from their duties. We're not going to tolerate that in Florida. That is illegal in Florida. If we find you doing that, we will hold you accountable, and we'll talk a little bit about our program there. But as an overarching matter, we are not California. We do not allow rioting in the state of Florida. It's been 4 or 5 years now since the senator and her team passed the Anti-Rioting Act in Florida. As always, we are proactive. And if you want to throw things at vehicles, rocks, or other objects, you're going to do time. If you want to light things on fire and put people in harm's way, you're going to do time. If you want to burn down businesses, if you want to wreak havoc and destruction in Florida, we have enhanced penalties to ensure you will do time. So we do not tolerate rioting, as groups talk about assembling over the weekend. We haven't seen much of that in Florida, but if you do, these guys, the Sheriff's Office, Colonel Howes, and the team, we are ready across the state to ensure that it is nipped in the bud right away. So today, we're excited to announce our collaborative work with ICE. The doxing is not going to happen. We've set up a program where any ICE agent that believes personal identifying information has been revealed will be able to report that to Colonel Howes and the FHP team so that they can begin, routine checkups and patrols to go make sure the families are okay, to keep an eye on the agents and their homes and their families. We want them here. We want them protecting our society. But while they're protecting our families, we're going to protect theirs. So Agent Coker, we've got your back. Your colleagues, we've got their backs. You guys ensure law and order. The voters last November made loud and clear that we want to ensure law and order. We want to enforce against illegal immigration, and we will stop at nothing to protect you and keep you guys safe. We're the law and order state. So with that, I will turn it over to Sheriff Ivey.
Good morning, everybody. So I want to start out by thanking our Attorney General for joining us here in beautiful Brevard County. Our Attorney General and Governor Ron DeSantis also for their amazing support for law enforcement. Public safety in our communities is like nothing we've ever seen before. People are moving to Florida in droves because this is the free state of Florida. They're moving here because they know their families will be safe here, their businesses will be safe. They won't have to contend with what we're seeing in places like Los Angeles and New York and Chicago, those things that are happening right now as we stand here today speaking. Our general was, I will say, very instrumental, was the tip of the spear in our blueprint for Free Florida. And now he's the tip of the spear in making sure that we are protecting what I like to call our 3 C's, our citizens, our cops, and our Constitution. And he has stood strong with not only law enforcement, but with us here in Brevard County, and we appreciate you. I'm gonna start out by addressing the doxing issue that we were talking about. Our ICE agents, just like our Florida Highway Patrol, are our partners. We all ride together in this. We all are out here to make sure that we're protecting our citizens, protecting our communities. Many of them have been called to the border. Many of them have been called to other locations to deal with the amount of fugitives and things that are going on, detainers. So for us, we will have their back. We will work closely with Colonel Howes and his team in making sure that we're increasing patrol, we're watching them. Anybody that's doxing them, as the General said, we passed a law about 4 or 5 years ago that makes it illegal to dox here in the state of Florida. So anybody that's doing that, we will take them to full task on doing it, and we will stand with you. I want to define a couple things, And our general was very kind in how he said things. I'm not as usually as elegant in how I say things. So I'm gonna first say that peaceful protests are part of our democracy. We invite people to share their opinions. That's what our country is all about. The key word in that is peaceful. And if it's peaceful, us in law enforcement are going to make sure you have a safe environment to do it in. That's part of that process. If you let it turn violent, whoo, you do not want to do that in Brevard County. I'm going to tell you that, and I believe I can speak for my fellow sheriffs around the rest of the state. You don't want to let it happen. And just so there's no confusion, because I don't want to hear any whining later saying we didn't know, I'm going to break it down for you, all right? Because as you watch these riots unfold across the rest of the country, what you are seeing is buildings being burned down, police cars being bricked, having explosive devices thrown on them, having fire, guns pointed at them, bricks thrown at them, all and on. So I'm gonna break it down for you, all right? And if somebody wants to know what I mean by turn violent, all right, this is what I mean. If you resist lawful orders, you're going to jail. Let me be very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail. If you flee arrest, you're going to go to jail tired, because we are going to run you down and put you in jail. If you try to mob rule a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave, in our county, you're most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street. If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and in jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at, because we will kill you graveyard dead. We're not going to play. This has got to stop.
Strong words from the Brevard County Sheriff in Titusville earlier this morning. We're going to take a break on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
The wait continues for suspended Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez to post bail at the Lake County Jail. It's been 1 week now since he was arrested, and 3 other arrested suspects who have been connected to this alleged illegal gambling operation have bonded out. And as Fox 35's Morgan Parrish reports, We are learning more about this most recent suspect who just got out yesterday.
Good morning. That's right. Yes. So Sheldon Weatherholt, he's the third person aside from the sheriff to be arrested in connection to this case. At first, he seemed a little bit agitated yesterday, but then he actually ended up speaking to us. Now, he walked out of jail around 5:30 last night, and he's being charged with racketeering and conspiracy to commit racketeering. And we know that law enforcement, they are still searching for one more suspect to get into custody. But as far as Weatherholt, his charges, they're considered 2 second-degree felonies. And authorities say that he was involved in that illegal gambling operation with several others, including suspended Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez. And when we spoke with Weatherholt, he actually admitted knowing Carol Coate and Sharon Federick. They are also both charged in connection to the case. And then he also admitted to some involvement in all of this as well.
I did the licenses and the leases, yes. I acknowledge that I did that.
Are you saying you were the fall guy for all of this? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it kind of looks that way now, doesn't it? I mean, I'm learning a hard lesson, a hard way.
And Weatherholt's next court date will be on July 7th. And we did some digging and found that he actually did have run-in with law enforcement before over some type of arcade-style business, but he never ended up being charged because he actually voluntarily shut it down. So we're going to be following any new details that come up with this case. We know over the last few days, a lot of new developments have come up. And as far as Lopez, he still remains in jail on that $1 million bond. And we know before he can bail out, he has to prove that that money is not coming from any of his criminal activity.
Yeah, still many more threads to pull in that story, and we are still waiting on that fourth co-defendant to be arrested as well, continuing to follow up on this story today. We appreciate you joining us here on Fox 35 News Plus this morning. We'll be back at 2 o'clock with Florida Live, and then at 4 o'clock we'll have a special hour-long special on removing